There's a fruit sitting in almost every refrigerator in the world right now, and if your dog eats even a small handful of it, it could be dead within 72 hours. I'm not exaggerating for views. This isn't some exotic plant or a rare mushroom. It's a fruit you've probably fed your dog yourself, maybe even today, thinking you were giving them a healthy little treat. This fruit doesn't just upset a dog's stomach. It can shut down their kidneys completely, and by the time most owners notice something is wrong, the damage is often already done. Stick with me for the next few minutes, because I'm going to tell you exactly what this fruit is, why it's so dangerous, how much it actually takes to be deadly, and exactly what to do if your dog has already eaten it, because the next few hours after exposure matter more than almost anything else in this video. Hey, welcome back! If you're a dog owner, I need you to take this video seriously, because what we're covering today isn't clickbait exaggeration. It's one of the most underknown dangers in dog ownership, and veterinary toxicology data backs up everything I'm about to tell you. Every year, thousands of dogs are rushed to emergency vet clinics because of this one fruit, and in a huge number of those cases, the owner had no idea it was even dangerous. Some had been feeding it to their dog as a treat for months without any problem, until the one time it caused a crisis. Let's get straight into it. The fruit is grapes and raisins. The fruit we're talking about is grapes, and their dried form, raisins, which are actually even more concentrated and dangerous gram for gram. Yes, the same grapes sitting in your fruit bowl right now, the same grapes that are perfectly healthy and safe for you to snack on, are one of the most toxic common foods for dogs in existence. Here's what makes this especially dangerous. There's no clear, predictable, safe amount. Unlike some toxic foods where a small dog needs a smaller dose to be at risk than a large dog, grape toxicity doesn't follow a simple weight-based formula. Veterinary toxicologists have documented cases where a tiny Chihuahua ate a single grape and was completely fine, and other cases where a large Labrador ate a handful of grapes and went into acute kidney failure. This unpredictability is exactly why most vets will tell you there is no known safe amount. The only truly safe amount is 0. Why are grapes so dangerous to dogs? This is where it gets genuinely interesting from a science standpoint because for a long time, nobody actually knew why grapes were toxic to dogs. Researchers tested for years, trying to isolate the specific toxic compound, and grapes don't contain any of the obvious toxins you'd expect. No cyanide compounds like in some seeds, no theobromine like in chocolate. For a long time, the leading theory pointed to tartaric acid, a naturally occurring compound found in grapes that's also present in some other fruits in much smaller amounts. More recent veterinary research has strengthened this theory considerably, with documented cases linking tartaric acid and its salt form, potassium bitartrate E, also known as cream of tartar E, directly to the kidney damage seen in affected dogs. What makes this particularly relevant is that the same compound is found in tamarinds, which is why tamarind has also been flagged as a risk for dogs by some veterinary toxicologists, even though it's far less commonly discussed than grapes. What we do know clinically, regardless of the exact mechanism, is the result. In susceptible dogs, grape and raisin ingestion can trigger acute kidney injury, where the kidneys rapidly lose their ability to filter toxins and waste out of the bloodstream. Once that process starts, it can progress extremely quickly, which is exactly why time matters so much with this particular toxin compared to some other dog hazards that develop more slowly. The timeline. What happens hour by hour? Understanding the timeline here could genuinely save your dog's life, because recognizing these symptoms early and getting to a vet fast is the single biggest factor in survival and recovery. Within the first few hours, the most common early symptom is vomiting, sometimes containing pieces of the grape or raisin itself. Some dogs also show lethargy and a noticeable drop in energy almost immediately. This early stage is often the easiest window to intervene in, because if you know your dog ate grapes and you get them to a vet during this window, there's a much higher chance of inducing vomiting or administering treatment before the toxin is fully absorbed. Within 12 to 24 hours, if the toxin has been absorbed into the bloodstream, you may start to see diarrhea, continued vomiting, abdominal pain. Your dog may seem hunched over or reluctant to be touched around their belly, and a noticeable decrease in appetite. This is the stage where the kidneys are actively under stress, even if it's not yet visible from the outside. Within 24 to 72 hours, this is where the most severe cases progress into acute kidney failure. Signs at this stage include your dog drinking excessive amounts of water, urinating much more frequently, or in more advanced cases, urinating very little or not at all, which is actually a sign of the kidneys shutting down rather than a sign of improvement. You may also see your dog becoming increasingly weak, disoriented, or even having seizures or tremors in severe cases. By this stage, dogs typically require intensive hospitalization, IV fluids, and close monitoring of their kidney function through blood work. And unfortunately, some cases at this stage do not survive even with treatment. This is exactly why the first few hours after ingestion are so critical. The earlier you act, the more treatment options are available, and the better the outcome tends to be. How many grapes is actually dangerous? I want to be straight with you here instead of giving you false reassurance. Because there's no reliably predictable safe dose, the standard advice from veterinary toxicology sources is that any amount of grapes or raisins should be treated as a potential emergency, regardless of your dog's size. Some veterinary guidance has suggested that doses as low as a few grams of raisins per kilogram of body weight have been associated with toxicity in documented cases. But because individual sensitivity varies so dramatically between dogs, that number shouldn't be treated as a safety threshold to relax around. It's a warning, not a green light for, a little bit is probably fine. If your dog has eaten even one grape or raisin, the safest and most responsible action is to contact your veterinarian or an animal poison control hotline immediately, rather than waiting to see if symptoms develop. Vets would always rather you call and find out it wasn't a big deal than have you wait and find out too late that it was. What to do right now if your dog ate grapes? If you're watching this because your dog just ate grapes or raisins, here's what matters most. First, do not try to induce vomiting at home using outdated remedies like salt water or hydrogen peroxide without guidance, since these can sometimes cause additional harm if done incorrectly or at the wrong time. Instead, call your vet or an emergency animal poison control line immediately and follow their specific instructions, since they may guide you to induce vomiting safely. Bring your dog in immediately, or both. Try to figure out roughly how many grapes or raisins your dog ate and how long ago, since this information helps your vet assess risk level and decide on treatment, which often includes inducing vomiting if it's within a safe window, administering activated charcoal to reduce further absorption, and starting IV fluids to support kidney function proactively, even before any symptoms appear. This proactive treatment, started early, is often what makes the difference between a dog that recovers completely and one that develops lasting kidney damage. Other common foods that are quietly dangerous too. While we're on this topic, it's worth quickly mentioning a few other everyday foods that catch owners off guard the same way grapes do, since the theme connecting all of them is that they look completely harmless. Onions and garlic in any form, raw, cooked, or powdered, damage a dog's red blood cells over time and can cause a type of anemia. And the danger here is that it's often cumulative, meaning small repeated exposures, like table scraps containing onion powder, can build up to a dangerous level over weeks, even if no single meal seems to cause an immediate problem. Xylitol, an artificial sweetener found in sugar-free gum, some peanut butter brands, and many diet-baked goods, causes a rapid and dangerous drop in blood sugar in dogs, along with potential liver damage, and it's becoming more dangerous over time simply because it's being added to more processed foods than ever before. Avocado contains a compound called persin, which is generally more of a concern for birds and some livestock, but the pit and skin in particular also pose a serious choking and intestinal blockage risk for dogs, which is the more immediate danger most vets actually worry about with avocados. None of these get nearly as much attention as chocolate toxicity, which most dog owners already know about. But grapes, onions, and xylitol arguably catch far more owners off guard simply because they don't carry the same well-known reputation chocolate does. Why this keeps happening to responsible owners. Here's something important to understand. This isn't a bad owner problem. Plenty of caring, attentive dog owners have fed their dog grapes specifically because they thought it was a healthy, low-calorie treat, which it absolutely is for humans. The information gap here isn't about carelessness. It's that grape toxicity in dogs isn't common knowledge the way chocolate toxicity is, and that's exactly the gap this video is trying to close. If you fed your dog grapes in the past without any issue, that doesn't necessarily mean your dog is somehow immune. It may simply mean you got lucky, or your dog happens to fall on the less sensitive end of that unpredictable spectrum we talked about earlier. Going forward, the safest approach is simply to remove grapes and raisins from your dog's diet entirely, no exceptions, regardless of past experience. A simple household safety check. Take a moment after this video to actually walk through your kitchen with this in mind. Check your fruit bowl, check any trail mix or granola bars that might contain raisins, check the bottom of your pantry for boxes of raisins your kids might snack on and accidentally drop, and make sure anyone else in your household, kids especially, knows that grapes are not okay to share with the dog even as a just this once treat. A huge number of grape toxicity cases reported to vets didn't come from the primary owner feeding the dog directly. They came from a well-meaning family member or guest who simply didn't know. So that's the full picture. A fruit that's completely fine for us, and genuinely dangerous for them, sitting in plain sight in almost every home. If this video gave you information you didn't know before, it might be one of the most useful things you watch all month as a dog owner, so do me a favor and hit that like button because it helps this information reach other dog owners who might be in the exact same position you were in before clicking play. Subscribe if you want more videos like this covering hidden hazards most pet owners never get warned about, and drop a comment letting me know if this was new information for you. I'd genuinely like to know how many of you had no idea grapes were dangerous, because I think the answer is going to surprise a lot of people in the comments. Stay safe, keep your pets safe, and I'll see you in the next video.